countries and fields and new kinds of mission work, while maintaining our foundation in Scripture and in sound mission principles, including an emphasis on church planting and discipleship. And this movement operates through our network. It's a network of mission bases in several countries, of the missionaries they send out, and of the many individuals and churches who stand behind them. As of late 2020, KM's multinational team of over 360 missionaries serves in 58 countries around the world, with a sending and receiving epicenter in Europe. KM's mission is expressed in these three words: send, plant, multiply, which we see as essential to our DNA. They represent a process, but they are also standalone goals. We always want to send out missionaries according to the Great Commission. We always want to start or plant churches everywhere because good churches are where disciples of Jesus are made. And we always want to multiply all of this, just like we see happening in the book of Acts. We exist to solve mission problems, to make mission work possible where it's being hindered. Practically, that means helping with sending God's people to do complex ministry in sophisticated places, like all around both Eastern and Western Europe, where the people are educated and belong to rich and ancient cultures. Contact challenges you to live called, and we always ask, and what moves you? What is it that God is calling you to do? Can we help you or your church to face down a challenge that's hindering you from going or hindering the gospel from going forward? That's why we exist. How can we use our mission energy to help you respond to your calling?
Good evening, good night, and thank you so much for coming out to tonight's fundraising event for Contact Canada Ministry Association's Missionaries Through 10th Church. When one thinks of missionaries, one usually thinks of those going to third world countries, places with devastating issues like poverty, human trafficking, sanitation, medical issues, or emergency aid in times of war or natural disasters. When one visits Europe, the idea that Europeans are impoverished in any way, but especially Christianity, seems almost incredulous. I mean, they have the most stunning and well-known Christian landmarks in the world. For example, who can tell me where and what this building is?
France.
Yes. Are you Paris? What is it? Notre Dame, of course. Built in 1163, finished in 1345. I mean, just look at all the people coming to worship. Sorry. They look to be tourists, actually. But at least they're coming to church, right? I remember taking an art history class where the teacher explained in great detail about how the flying buttresses took some of the weight off the building and it made it more stable, how the stunning blue hues in their stained glass windows were never exactly replicated because the metal was different today than what they had back then, etc., etc. And I used to think, can't we just gaze upon it and appreciate it for what it is? A structure that was erected for the glory of God? However, safe to say that this purpose seems completely inconsequential to all those tourists, wouldn't you say? Now, who knows where this building is and what is it? Don't all answer at once. This is St. Paul's Cathedral in London. Now let's just look at all the people coming to worship in this majestic building. Oh, well, actually, they're here for the wedding of Prince Charles and then Lady Diana. But that's inconsequential. Before they used the church as a backdrop for the Harry Potter series. But maybe this next one will trigger you. Who knows what this one is? Does anybody recognize this one? Its rooftop is iconic. It's probably the most famous rooftop in the world. This is the Stephansdom, the St. Stephen's Cathedral in Vienna. Now, it's so beautiful, no wonder Mozart was actually married here. But, like all the other churches on our list, its only value now just seems to be a landmark of Vienna. And then our last one. Who knows what this one is? And just to be honest, it's the structure to the right, not the one to the left. This is the Kölner Dome in Cologne. According to UNESCO World Heritage Convention's report, the Cologne Cathedral testifies to the enduring strength of European Christianity. My goodness, I certainly hope that Christianity in Europe is stronger than what these pictures portray the church as, because it's basically just a political backdrop, or for sports rallies, or perhaps even one of the many Christmas markets of which the person in the middle might be a little bit familiar. That would be my son, who you'll meet later. Now, how did we get to this point? If you look up Christianity in Europe, you'd read in Wikipedia that in 2010, somehow over 75% of Europeans considered themselves Christians. And yet, in a 2019 article in Der Spiegel, Thomas Bergwich, head of finances for the Evangelical Church of Germany, reported that less than 0.5% of Austrians have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. In European cities, and even in the smallest villages, there are countless beautiful churches. The design and artistry of these places of worship and community pointed, as in past tense, to God, to the lives of the saints, and to the stories from the Bible. But today, at least in the cities, churches and cathedrals are mostly tourist sites where travelers capture cool shots for Instagram posts. Many churches have become theaters, restaurants, residences, or serve some other purpose. They may be used for concerts, art exhibits, or shops for tourists. And other churches are just abandoned and in decay. Many people believe that Christianity is declining because most Europeans don't see it as relevant in today's world. They resent having to pay a church tax, which in Germany will take a percentage from your pay. They cite many instances of abuse by priests and other church leaders. And they don't feel like there is any sense of connection and community at the church. And that it's just a place for a bunch of rules, regulations, and traditions. Young people here lose interest in attending church and, in rebellion, reject the beliefs of their parents. And yet, the yearning to fill that emptiness in their lives with something